Hey everyone, this is Teresa from Base 10 Montessori, and today we are going to work on our first embroidery kit together. And we're going to do a stitch sampler, and we're going to try and make it very simple so that if you want to make one at home, you can. But if you don't want to make one, this one's fairly cheap. I'll put a link to it down below in the comment section through my Amazon affiliate links. And we're just going to work on this together. But today I'm just going to show you the first part. We're going to go over the kit. We're going to go over how to divide up the embroidery floss, and I'm going to show you the outline stitch. Next video, lesson 2 is going to be on the back stitch, and then lesson 3 is going to be on the chain stitch. Now for the outline stitch today, I'm actually doing something different than what's in the instruction manual because I feel like that's still just a little bit too complicated for a very beginning student. So we're just going to do a simple running stitch for today's video. And I'm simply going to go up and down with the thread. I'm not going to go as complicated as what the instruction manual says. So just keep that in mind. When we look at the instruction manual, it's going to be a little bit different. But I think for a beginning student, just doing a regular stitch is all we need to do to start with. And at the end of this video, I am going to tack on the official outline stitch instead of just the standard sewing stitch that we did in this video to begin with. So I will include time codes in this video so you can jump around. All right, so let's take this out and see what we can do with it. So right here we have our hoop. We have to open that up. Loosen the screws here. I don't like plastic hoops. I really wish it had been wooden, but a lot of the stuff on Amazon seems to be plastic. Okay, so our thread is already organized for us, so that's pretty nice. That'll help us move through this a little more quickly. The first thing we need to do is to put our fabric on our hoop. I'm trying to line this up just right. So that just fits in there like that. Make sure it's in there good. And I think it's lined up decent enough that we can screw this tight. This will keep the fabric taut, keep it from slipping. So there we go. There's that part. And so right here we have the instructions. We have a picture of it on this side of everything that we need to do. And then when we get to right here, it's going to tell us about dividing the thread. Now, when we work with embroidery thread, we don't always work with one big chunk of thread at a time. Most of the time, you're going to be dividing this up, and you're going to be working with just a portion of the thread. And in each section of thread, there are actually 6 different threads joined together. So your instructions are going to tell you how many threads you're going to be working on at one time. Now right here it says the outline stitch, and right here it says 1 strand. So we're only going to work with 1 strand, which isn't very much, and they're going to have you outline the words, but I'm going to wait on that because that can be a little tricky. We're just going to do the line today. So if you're following along at home, if you have this exact same kit, or if you're drawing your own pattern, if you're drawing your own lines on a piece of fabric and doing this with me, this is going to be very simple. We're just going to do this line right here. We're not going to outline the words. And as you can see right here, this says 1 strand outline stitch. And for some reason, they've put French knots in there. I don't know if we'll do that today. We'll wait until we get down to the French knot section before we do anything like that. So they show that in blue, so we can get our blue out. So here I have the blue, and I have 2 strands of it, so we can put one aside and we'll work with that one later. Now, as we look at the instructions here, like I said, it says 1 strand. And so we are going to section out 1 strand. Hopefully my camera does a good job of focusing in on this. This can be the really tedious part where it's easy to get knots, so you really have to go slow and divide this up. So right here, I have 1 strand, if you can see it. So we are going to I can get my camera to focus on this. We're going to untangle that. And we got to go slow and let it unwind as we go along. All right, now I have the leftover thread right here and the thread we're going to be working with right here. On this kit, the needles are taped to the cardboard, so we just have to grab a needle and then we can thread it. Now for regular sewing, we would match the ends together, but for embroidery, we're just going to have a little bit hang over. We're really just working with the one thread. We're not matching the ends and tying a knot as we would for typical sewing. And you can tie a knot at the end of your thread to keep it from pulling through. I normally don't do that. I just leave it hanging. That's just because with cross stitch, when I was doing cross stitching, I never tied a knot. You just leave it loose. So I do that most of the time with embroidery. However, there are times when I find a knot is helpful, especially with French knots. I usually put a knot in. So that's up to you. If it helps you keep your strand in place, it's perfectly fine to put a knot. Just make sure you are not joining the two pieces together. You're just putting a knot in this very end of one strand. So with that being said, let's start right here with our outline stitch. So for our first stitch, we're coming up through the bottom. We're going to pull. Let me show you what it looks like on the back. And I'm just going to hold it right there. I'm not going to knot it, but if you want to put a knot in, that's fine. I'm just going to hold it. So we came up with one, down with two. Now with this outline stitch, we're going to keep them close together. We want to make sure and not come up through the same hole and undo our stitch, but you want to move just enough forward that you can create your next stitch. And you see how I'm doing this pincer grip already? You have really no choice, and that's what I like about sewing. This blue doesn't have a lot of contrast to the blue line, so hopefully this is easy enough for you to see. Let me tilt it a little. So up with one. And down with the next. So there's not a whole lot of space. And this is a good lesson right here, because sometimes when you have these long threads, it's going to knot up. So you do have to check from time to time and unknot them. And the thinner your string is, the easier for this knot to come about. So you do have to be a little bit careful with this thin string. It's going to knot very easily. And what I like to do, and this string is a little long for me to show you at the moment, is I just drop my thread down once in a while and let it unwind, because it will get twisted a little bit as you go through your sewing, and that will cause some problems. So occasionally you just have to untwist the thread. All right. So here we are on our next one. Let me move this so you can see a little better. All right, so I'm just going to finish this up. Okay, so here we are finishing up the outline stitch. Here's my last one. take another knot out. And last one. Let's take a look at the back. That's what the back looks like. And you can just cut it with some extra strands. However, if you want, you can also weave in a little bit of the extra so it's not hanging out and getting caught on other threads as you go along. So you can give it a little bit of length. You can also tie a knot if you want. I'm just used to tucking them in. It's a little bit more smooth on the back when you do that. And then you can cut it. And now that we've got some of these stitches under our belt, I want to go back and show you the official outline stitch, which if you're familiar with embroidery, it's very similar to the stem stitch. And I use the stem stitch all the time. The outline stitch, I don't use as much of, but there is a difference. There is a difference between them. So if you're thinking of the stem stitch as we go about that, just put that thought to the side and focus on the outline stitch. So let's start at the beginning. I'm just going to go right below the outline stitch that we did before, just the regular straight stitch, nothing special. And this time we're going to do the outline stitch, the official outline stitch. So we're going to go up with 1, down with 2, let's move that to the side. We're going to go in the middle. And now we're going to come back down with 4. So again, if you're a beginning sewer, this might be a little complicated. I would just stick with a straight stitch, nothing special. So we're going down with 4, but we've kept our loop. Let me move it to the side. And find the exact same hole, the one before, and that's 5. You see that? And that's why I didn't really want to start with this stitch. And I apologize for not explaining that in my original video. So again, we're going to jump forward with the next stitch right here. Go down. Leave this loop over down below. Hold that away from it. And then you're going to find the spot that comes right before so that the stitches touch. The stem stitch is a little bit different if some of you are experienced because it meets in the middle. This one doesn't meet in the middle. If that doesn't make sense to you if you haven't done the stem stitch yet, don't worry. Just ignore what I'm saying. I'm just talking to people who have done some embroidery. So the next one would jump forward just a little bit. We want our string to stay down right here. Keep our loop down. And we're going to find where the last stitch ends, and that will be our starting point. So there we go. There's the official outline stitch. It is a fun stitch. It's not one I would start with the beginning sewer. If I was starting with children, I would just have them do that regular up and down stitch. But if you want a little bit of a challenge, let's do the official outline stitch just like that. And I used 2 strands for today instead of the 1 strand. I like that much better than just the single strand. And then on the back, this is what it looks like. I'm going to just weave my thread in and then I can cut it. So that's all I have for you today. If you like what I'm doing here, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.